For number 1, you have to describe the slope as positive, negative, 0, undefined, and then calculate it. It was a positive slope, and then when you found what the slope was, it should have been 8/3. For number 2, you had to determine whether these two lines were parallel, perpendicular, or neither. When looking at these two slopes, they are flipped. One is negative, one is positive, so these would be perpendicular. Nice. Now, if they were parallel and they had the same slopes and the same y-intercept, then they wouldn't be parallel because they have to have different y-intercepts. But with perpendicular, it doesn't matter. For number 3, you have to determine the number of solutions this equation has. If you start solving or you distribute and you get this, and you see that you have different coefficients and constants, you'll get one solution. You could also keep solving it and actually get that solution. Do we have any questions on these 3? Why is it top one? What? Say that one more time.
I'm sorry, I got it wrong. I was like, why wasn't it 9? I got 9, but
I think it was really close. So. Okay. On the back. For number 4, you could have done this one of 2 ways. The easier of the 2 would be to start at this point, 3, -3. Find the slope that would be perpendicular to this one. So take this fraction, flip it, make it negative. And then from that point, go up 4 to the left 3 until you run into your y-axis. And then you'll have your slope and your y-intercept and can put that in an equation. Y equals -4/3x plus 1. You could have also used your point slope formula with the point given, the slope given, and then found your equation that way. With number 5, you have to solve this inequality first. So subtract 2x on both sides, divide everything by -2, and when you do that, the sign would change direction. So you have y is now less than x minus 3. That would be a dotted or dashed line shaded below. Do we have questions on either of these 2? Before we go on to our next lesson in our review unit, I just wanted to give you a chance to ask any questions you may have about final dates, anything like that you may or may not be aware of, because unless you're a senior, you really haven't taken final exams unless you came in person at the end of last year. Do we have any questions about finals? For everyone who's not a senior, it'll be the last day of school, the 15th. First period exams are always on the 15th. I don't know why they do that. It's math. If you don't take it. So if you have not used the final grade calculator that I sent out a while back, I also posted it on Canvas. There's a module at the very bottom of all the modules that says like final exam something. The final grade calculator is there. Put in your semester 1 grade, your quarter 3 grade, and what you think you will make in quarter 4. And it'll also show you what you would need to make on the final exam. So if you don't take it, that would automatically be a 0, and that would show you what your grade would do. So I would say play with that and see what your grade would be, what grade you are trying to get, and what grade you would need to get on the final to get whatever grade. I will say if you are failing for the year and you have to take the final and you don't, you're going to fail the class and we'll have to repeat the class. So if that is you, be mindful of that. Any other questions? Senior finals are on a different date. Senior finals are on the 8th of June. And then our last day of class is the 9th. I don't think we have class on the 10th. But the 10th is the last day of class for everyone else, for some other classes. We're also taking the STAR exam tests again, and those are going to be on 2 different dates. Seniors, yours will be next Friday, and everyone else will be June 1st. So I'll send out reminders so that you have your laptops to take that. Any other questions about the final? You will get a final exam review guide. I'll be passing that out within the next week. And I'll pass it out to everyone because even though you may be exempt from the final, you're always welcome to take it.
What was that?
So everyone should have these notes in front of them. Our next review lesson is going back to factoring because some of us did not do well on that unit. But also if you're going on to Algebra 2, you'll need factoring, so it's good practice. So we're going to go through some of these. Make sure you're writing these down. For these type of polynomials where your value in front of whatever is squared is 1, or it's not there, it's an imaginary 1. We're going to solve all of these the exact same way. I'm going to use the X method to kind of organize my numbers. We're looking for 2 numbers that multiply to be 12, but add to be 7. So you may need to list out your factors off to the side. What are some factors of 12?
6 and 2.
And of those factors, if I were to add 2 of them together, which would give me 7? 3 and 4. So that would be a positive 3 and a positive 4. And then I would take those 2 numbers and put them in factor form. Whatever variable is here is the variable you're going to use first. So x plus 3, x plus 4. And those would be your 2 answers. Before we continue, what questions do we have on that? So whatever number is last, you put up top. Whatever number is in the middle, you put in the bottom. Then you're looking for 2 numbers that multiply to be 12, so we find the factors. And if we add those factors together, we're looking for which of them would add to be the bottom number. Let's do number 5. number 5, same method. We're looking for two numbers that multiply to be 5 but add to be 6. What are some factors of 5? 1 and 5, and that's it. Because 1 and 5 are the only factors, those are the ones we're going to use. If I added 1 and 5, would I get 6? So our two factors would be k plus 1 and k plus 5. If you are remembering the rules that we talked about when we did this unit, if we have a positive in our polynomial, our answers will both be positive. Let's move on to another one. Number 8. We're looking for two numbers that multiply to be -8 and add to be 2. So one of our factors is, or one of our numbers is going to be negative, since we're multiplying to get a negative. But you can think about just the factors first, and then worry about which one is negative after. So what are some factors of 8? 4, 4, 2, and 1. So now if one of them has to be negative, if I said -2 plus 4, would that give me +2? Yes. -2, +4, those would be my answers. And you could try with different numbers. Only one of these are going to work, the others will not. Some of them may seem like they would work, but when you actually do it, it wouldn't. So then our factors would be x minus 2 and x plus 4. Do you have any questions on that before we continue? Let's do 11. We're looking for two factors that multiply to be -45 but add to be 4. What two numbers would work? Or what are some factors of 45? 9 and 5. There are others, but if I made 9 negative and 5 positive, would that give me +4? No. What about if I switch that? -5 and +9? Yeah. So if you think of the factors right away, then you don't have to go through the whole gauntlet of all of the numbers. But if you don't, and let's say you do 3 and 15 first, well, that wouldn't work because you wouldn't get 4 either way. So then your factors would be c minus 5 and c plus 9. So if you are remembering the rule here, if it's plus minus, one of your factors is going to be negative, and it's usually the smaller number of the two. We're going to skip down to 15. For 15, we're looking for two numbers that multiply to be -63 but add to be -2. The smaller this number is, the closer the two factors are. So what are two numbers that would work? -9 and +7. So our factors would be b -9, b +7. Then let's do 16. So we're looking for two numbers that multiply to be -3 that add to be -2. What two numbers would work? 3 and 1. Which one would be negative? -3. So our factors would be a -3 and a +1. So if you're remembering the rule, if we have minus minus, one of our factors is going to be negative, and the bigger number of the two will be the negative. The only other one that's not on this page, but I believe it's on the back, is when you have minus plus, then both of your factors would be negative. Are there any others that we want to do together before I let you go ahead and practice? Alright, for the remainder of class, you will have time to go through and practice. Use this time to practice all of these. Go through as many as you can. If you finish the ones on the front, maybe try some on the back, especially the ones that were not on here, like the ones that say minus, then plus. If you want me to check any of your answers, raise your hand, I'll come around. If you have questions on any of them, raise your hand, I'll come around. Anyone have questions on what we're doing for the rest of the class today? You have this